Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Susan Barishai, founder of Sia Admissions. I'm just putting up the presentation online. Hope you can see it. Thank you so much for joining me, especially considering what's going on around the world, and hope you're all doing okay. I am so glad to be here with the GMAT Club's YouTube channel. Before we get started, I would like to ask you to click on the subscribe button so you are notified, excuse me, about, my apologies, about GMAT Club's YouTube videos. So any new videos that come up on their platform. By subscribing, you are going to gain access to today's special, which is a free 7-day subscription to GMAT Club Test. You should be seeing that link on the comment section. Also, as you continue watching, if you like what you hear, I would also ask that you click on the like button of liking the video. Before we get started, I would like to introduce myself and also introduce Sia Admissions. So Sia Admissions is a New York City-based boutique firm, admissions consulting firm. As a boutique firm, clients work directly with me as the founder throughout the entire process of the admissions. We work one-on-one to identify unique characteristics that distinguish our clients. Typically, it's reflected in their character, in their values, and in their mission. This understanding helps us help them tell their story in a meaningful way that presents candidate profile that is sympathetic to the applicant's ambitions while weaving the university's mission and admission criteria, ensuring, of course, that our clients get the highest probability of success. The success of our process is reflected in our 90% placement rate at top 20 business schools, including HBS, MIT, Booth, Yale, and NYU. A little bit about me. So I am, as I mentioned, Susan Barishai. I am an alumnus of NYU and Yale. I have a background in corporate recruiting as well as finance. My finance background includes working for a prominent hedge fund in New York City, as well as a Belgian-based private equity firm, also in New York City. While I've been fortunate to have had meaningful opportunities within the corporate world, I have always been passionate about helping others reach their highest potential. A little bit over 5 years ago, while working for the hedge fund, I was asked by a colleague who is an analyst to help her through the process of submitting her application to HBS. So HBS is MBA program. Of course, I was happy to guide her through the entire process of presenting her narrative that was really genuine to who she was and bring out her character, her uniqueness. This led to her admission to HBS, which was also the only school she got admitted to that application cycle. And this really marks the beginning of what is later going to be, or what was later formed into Sia Admissions. And this opportunity enabled me to identify ways that I can help other individuals reach their highest potential. Now, before we get started, just wanted to point out, I guess, a few logistical matters. So the presentation today is hopefully going to give you some tips that you can use in your research process to select your MBA program that's the right fit for you. And for that reason, I think it would be useful for you if you took notes along the way. Also, I will have the presentation, I'll go through the presentation. At the end of it, we'll have some time to answer a few questions. So please write your questions along the way, and we'll try to answer as many as we can by the end of our allotted time. I also ask that you take the time to write the question clearly so that I can be most helpful to you in answering that question. Perfect. So let's get started. So you decided to continue your studies with an MBA program and or with an MBA degree, and want to make the best target school selection. Now, if you are looking for the best ranked program, you can honestly simply just Google the best MBA program. You know which organizations go through the rankings on an annual basis, and you can find those details there quite easily. That's really not what I do, and that's really not why we're here today. Instead, if you want to choose a business school that's the best MBA program for you and your goals, then keep watching, and I'll show you some of my techniques that I use to help clients to find the best programs for them. So it's important to start by asking questions. So why are you pursuing a MBA? Having a clear and concise answer as to why, it's really going to facilitate your research process. And it's important, of course, to spend time articulating this and clearly defining it. And it should be more than just, I want a degree for its pedigree. The prestige that comes from earning a degree from a top-ranked MBA program could be a part of your reason for pursuing this, which is fine, but it should not be your core reason, your only reason why you are doing an MBA. Instead, spend time being introspective about what you want professionally and how the MBA is going to help you get there. That said, of course, on a macro scale, I assume that you want a degree to improve your business acumen and open doors for your professional success. You want to attend a program that is going to strengthen you, a program that's going to help you develop the skills that you want. You want a program that is going to help you build the network that you need. You're going to want a program that is going to help you identify opportunities to go out in the world and make a difference in the areas you're most passionate about. This, of course, can lead to a life of meaning, provide opportunities to impact your community, whatever that community looks like. And it can lead to professional paths that you may have not even imagined because you haven't been exposed to them yet. So there are many business school degrees to choose from, and they will have their own cores. Those who are choosing the MBA path, for example, will have more or less a similar core. So if there are similarities between degree programs at different schools, there are similarities between MBA programs at different schools, how do you decide which one you are going to apply to, right? Which one is going to give you what you need? You must find the nuanced differences between the schools. That is an important element here. So I imagine that you are here today because the process of selecting the target business school is overwhelming and you need help. Ranking makes identifying, obviously, the schools much easier. So you can say, I want to apply to top 20 schools. But how do you decide from there which program to apply to? And that's what we're going to focus on here. Before, my apologies, I went too slow with my slides. All right, so before we get to the elements you need to select a program that's right for you, let's talk about potential risks of choosing the wrong program. Selecting the program that's wrong for you and your ambitions can be costly, not only financially, but also can cost your professional development on multiple levels. So let's take, for example, the admissions process. Not selecting the program that's right for you will make it difficult to market yourself to that institution and will also greatly diminish your chances of being admitted to that program. Your application will come across as disingenuous, which will not only, of course, cost you money, because every application you have to pay fees, but it may also mean that you have invested your time and energy and resources in a program that was not right for you to begin with. If you can somehow manage to convince the admission committee that you are the right fit for their program and end up choosing that program for whatever reason, you may have a hard time fitting in. Not fitting in will make it difficult for you to network and will make the bonds you were hoping to obtain or to build much more challenging. This may affect your self-confidence and the joy with which you approach your studies in the MBA program. Now, also, not selecting the right program may mean that you will not have the right opportunities and may not develop the right skills to maximize your investment. And we'll talk more about that later. Your negative experience will lead to negative feelings towards the institution and also its representatives, not because of who you are or who they are, but because of the mismatch, which has a domino effect on everything else that follows. I hope you see how important being in the right environment is in this process. And choosing the right business school is important, but choosing the right business school is much more important than just choosing to attend the MBA program. So it's vital that you find the program that will nurture your skills and help you grow as a professional. So you are at this stage in your development because you are ambitious, because you have great aspirations for yourself, and you see a great career ahead of you. You want to be perhaps a business leader, you want to be an entrepreneur, perhaps you don't exactly know what you want to do, but you know in your heart of hearts that you can be more and you can do more. And I want to help you navigate this process in doing exactly that. Every decision has a compounding effect. You cannot apply to every program, of course. Even if you choose top ranked, top 20, you're not going to apply to 20 MBA programs, or you shouldn't, rather. So you have to choose. I have a client currently in the MBA application process who has good academics and an average GRE score, but has a killer leadership experience. She believes in building people up, helping each of her subordinates rise to their greatest potential. And she demonstrates this leadership in everything she does. She initially thought that because of her academics, Stern was her stretch school. But she was accepted to Stern round 1 application. She then started wondering if she could get accepted to even more prominent schools. We stretched that stretch school, and she just interviewed with Wharton. Now, of course, we don't have an answer yet, and we don't know if Wharton will accept her or not. But no matter the outcome, she knows that her profile was strong enough to get an interview with Wharton. She also knows that she needs to be careful not to impose limit on herself. What if she didn't apply at all, right? What if she didn't apply to, what if we didn't stretch her stretch school? Of course, she would have attended a great institution. She may still attend that great institution, but if she didn't stretch her stretch school, she would always have questions. Did I make the right decision? Did I take the safe route? Was my selection process driven by fear? Could I have? Should I have? Doubt and regret creeps in, and no one wants a life of regret. This is the time to do the work and make the decision you can be proud of for the long run. So you may be thinking, okay, if I get one admission to a top MBA program, I would be ecstatic. And that may be true. But here's what I want you to think about. In your lifetime, there's a low probability that you are going to get a second MBA. You will be a representative of the school you attend for the rest of your life. You will have that one chance to gain the experience a top MBA or an MBA offers. Do you want to make the decision based on fear, or do you want to take the time you need to evaluate the program on multiple levels so you choose the business school you can be proud of? I know you read a lot about the admissions process online, and the GMAT Club and all these different platforms have many different opinions on them. We're in an attempt to help. You are overloaded with barriers to entry, belonging to an overrepresented body of applicants, having a typical profile, and a slew of other elements that can impede you from being admitted to your top choice. There will always be things that impede you from being admitted, including the other person you're competing against for that seat in the class. And there's nothing you can do about that. These resources provide very important information and insights, but I would caution you to don't let these varying opinions add to your fears. Now, don't get me wrong, the process is really tough. Process of gaining admission to a top 20 MBA program is tough. And that's what these barriers to entry are intended to do and speak about. But I want you to remember that there's a person with a weak GMAT score that got admitted into HBS. And I want you to remember that there is a person with an F in their transcript that got admitted into MIT. And those less than ideal elements in their profile was not what got them into those programs. So what got them in? Selecting the right program and building their application to present themselves as an ideal candidate to that program they applied to. I can help you select the program for you so that the weaker elements of your profile will not distract from your strengths. The elements that make you unique and the promise that you bring, which is the high probability of future success. Now, there are 3 elements that a business school, an MBA program, should have for you to consider it a good fit for you. I'll go right to it because I'm sure you're ready to know. So I'm assuming that you have a clear understanding of your short and long-term goals and how the business degree or how the MBA is going to fit that plan. You want to start your business school research process with academics in mind. As I mentioned earlier, an MBA program will have a similar core. So MBA programs are going to have a similar core. But academics incorporate more than just the core curriculum, right? When you evaluate a school's academics, look at the pedagogy. Typically, there are case methods, which offer the opportunity for students to analyze real-world problems or dilemmas that are usually complex and dependent on numerous variables. An example of a business school that successfully implements the case study method is Darden. 100% of their classes are taught using this method. Another pedagogical style is theory, which focuses your learning and discussion on theoretical premise. Most business schools have a mixture of theory and case study, and the ratio between them depends on the school. In the process of your evaluation, you must determine which method is more to your liking, which method you succeed better in. So for example, if you don't like case studies and choose Harvard, HBS, considering they, if you're accepted there. Harvard, so HBS is known to have about 80% of their classes taught using the case method or the case study. You're going to find yourself regretting that decision when you're reading and working on over 200 cases in your 2-year programs and struggling, right? So my first request for you is that when you're going through this process of researching your schools, ask yourself and clearly articulate which style of learning do you succeed in most? What's the absolute maximum ratio between case study and theory you can handle, where you're going to be successful at the end, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what we want. A second element of the academics is looking at electives offered in relation to your short and long-term goals. So what classes do you see yourself being drawn to? Does the school offer a declared or undeclared concentration in their program? And why is this relevant? Well, official concentrations allow you to take numerous courses in particular areas of interest. Being that it's official and it's approved by the board of the school, you know you will have multiple course offerings that meet the needs of that concentration. However, if there's no official concentration in your area of interest, but you see elective options on your target school's websites that you are really interested in, know going in that you may or may not have the opportunity to enroll in those courses once you are a student there. Over your 2 years within the program, these classes may not be available for various reasons, including the class not being popular, or maybe not having the available faculty to teach that particular course. This is, of course, a sort of a technical, if you will, side of things in the business school selection process, which requires sleuthing, right? You want to make sure that you gain the knowledge and the skills you want out of your MBA. And you want to make sure that at the end, once you are a student there, you get what you exactly signed up for. So my request number 2 for you is identify electives that would help you in your goals and determine if the school offers an official or unofficial concentration in your area of interest. Now, if it's not clear on the website, don't be afraid to reach out to that target institution and ask these questions, because they will value you reaching out and asking about information that they don't have readily available online. Now, on the value side of things, and I don't mean bang for your buck, institutions have core values that should match yours. If you know what you value and what you stand for, then it's easy for you to understand the values of an institution, your connection to them, and your ability to perform with those values. So what do I mean? Take Darden or UVA's honor code, for example. This is a code focused on mutual respect and trust. And if the respect and trust is breached, the penalization method is applied, which is pretty black and white. Oops, apologies. It results in a failed class and expulsion. Now, how is the honor code applied in the day-to-day experience of a Darden MBA candidate? An example at Darden is that unlike proctored exams at other institutions, Darden offers take-home exams. However, before you take home your exam, you must sign the honor pledge, in which you pledge that you have not received assistance outside of the institution, of the instructions of your professor. You should also infer from this example that the answer to that exam, the answer to the questions in the exam, are going to be more complex than a typical proctored exam at other institutions. The honor code has been entrenched in the culture of UVA since 1842, and that's not really going to change. And it's a value then that you should be excited about in order to succeed in that program. So my request number 3 is that you identify what your target school's values are and how do you identify yourself with them. Now, academics and values are important element of the school selection process, and your success will depend on proper evaluation of those. Another element that has equal weight on your future success is cultural fit. Now, I know you've heard about cultural fit, which often seems like an enigmatic cop-out. So what do I mean? I had a client who initially made the mistake of selecting his target schools based on rank. Now, rank matters, of course, especially if you're applying to those really competitive sectors, but it should not be the only deciding factor. This applicant chose to apply to business schools despite never feeling a connection to in his conversations with the admissions team of that institution, the students of that institution, nor its faculty. Now, do you think applying to that school was the right decision? Probably not. Not only will he not be able to showcase his fit to succeed in his application, but if admitted, he will most likely be miserable there. To evaluate the culture of the school, take the time and meet with and speak with the admissions teams where available and where that is an option. Speak with current students, speak with current club leaders, speak with the alumni and faculty of that institution. In those conversations, ask yourself, do you find yourself comfortable there? Do you find yourself excited about that program, about that school? Have conversations with multiple people. And that's key here, because you do not want to have or make a lifelong decision based on one conversation you have with one person at that institution, right? Now, although these conversations offer an opportunity for the institution to get to know you, and you shouldn't take that lightly, it's more about you getting to know them in the research phase of your MBA application. So my request number 4 is, once you meet a representative of your target school, evaluate the experience and evaluate each of those experiences on their own right. Can you imagine yourself being that student's friend? Do you feel that you would want to help them? Do you feel that they want to help you, whether with a job or job interview? How connected do you feel with that individual? And how much do they match your personality? If you answer no, or if your answer is, I felt no personal connection, they have entirely different character and values than I do, then take that as an indicator that your values and character do not make you the perfect candidate for that school. And don't apply to that school regardless of its ranking, because the schools curate their classes and they're selecting a type of individuals that fits their culture, and you should fit that culture as well. All right, so let's recap. Once you know you're pursuing your MBA and have taken time to be introspective and clearly articulate the why, so why you're applying to an MBA program, then for each school that you are evaluating, look at their academics, their pedagogy and elective course offerings. Do they have what you're looking for? Look at the school's values. How does it match? How does the school's values match your own? Look at the culture of the school. Do you find yourself connecting with the target business school's representatives? The most successful experiences are those that evaluate not only the quantitative elements of the business school selection process, but also the qualitative. You need to imagine yourself being a student at that school and thriving in that community. So you may be wondering, how do I know this? Not only did I use this process in my own personal experience as when I attended, NYU and Yale, but I've also used this process in helping clients. And I will share 2 examples of clients that talked about how this process was helpful to them. So the first client is someone who received 5 out of 7 admission to her top choice schools. And she said, and just gonna read it, what's on the screen. So choosing my school was not easy. When I asked Susan, she gave me the pros and cons of each school and also spoke from my personality point of view, which is really amazing because in this situation, you need someone who understands your educational and professional preferences. I have never met Susan. She was an international applicant, yet she clearly understood those two aspects because she's a great listener, and that reflected in our communication and the strength of my essays. My second example comes about after a negative experience. So this client says, to start off, let me explain that this was my second year of applications. In my first year, I applied to 8 schools and received 0 interviews. With my non-standard background and weak undergrad GPA, I was left questioning if an MBA was feasible for me. During conversations with other admissions consulting companies, I was either told to apply for lower-ranked schools or had a generally negative review of my previous application materials. Susan was different. She was immediately talking about ways I could improve my essays and displayed a personal interest in helping me succeed in this application cycle. She helped me articulate my values and strengths early in the process, and perhaps most importantly, for me, she helped identify key stories that demonstrated these values. These were pulled from experiences that I had not included in my previous applications and provided excellent insights into who I am. When I struggled with certain prompts, she went above and beyond. This included reaching out to learn about me from my spouse to find stories that I could not have identified myself. I really cannot emphasize enough how much Susan takes a personal interest in your success. It really brings me great joy that this client in particular is going to, hopefully if everything in the world goes as it should, is going to be interning at McKinsey this coming summer. Something that I'm really happy for him because that was his choice consulting firm. And it's also something that it would never have happened if he had accepted those initial rejections, right? So would you like similar results in your business school admissions process? Now, if you like what you have seen here today, then I encourage you to reach out. I want to know your story. I want to help you make your dreams a reality. I want to help you build your individualized roadmap to your admissions, to your target schools. And that's going to lead you to what your heart of hearts knows you to be. That is someone who's going to make a great contribution to your community and impact so many lives. Now, I'm going to stop sharing the screen. This is the contact information listed here. So it's info@siaadmissions.com if you'd like to reach out to us and have a conversation. I believe that the link to our exploratory call has also been shared with you. So feel free to reach out to us using that link as well. And I'm going to go to some questions. Perfect. So I see that our contact information is being shared with you whenever questions are coming about. So if you have any questions, please write them down in the comment section, and I'll be happy to answer to the best of my ability without knowing the full story. So the question is, attending MBA fairs is a great way to know more about potential business school. What are the best practices and do's and don'ts while attending these sessions? Any advice on how to make good first impressions in these sessions? That is a great question. Absolutely, I think it's a great way to attend MBA fairs. You have an opportunity to meet with a lot of schools all in one place, so it saves you time and money. So I think that's great. To make the most out of that experience, I would say, of course, go in as you would in an interview. So be prepared, have a copy of your resume in your bag, just in case someone asks for it. I would also say that you want to have an idea of who you're going to see first and foremost, and then also have a few questions prepared in advance. What are you interested in? So if you go back, and this video will be made available online on GMAT Club's YouTube channel, go back to the questions that I was asking earlier on about knowing exactly what you want to do and knowing exactly what the school offers, and then ask really intelligent questions about why you're excited about that school, and what are some things that you want to learn about the school that's not available on the school's website, right? Make a connection and learn about various aspects, so academics, as well as experiential opportunities the school offers, and anything that's new. Schools are always looking to improve their programs, to improve the student experiences. Don't be afraid to ask what's coming down the pipeline. So that would be, generally speaking, some things to keep in mind as you're having those conversations. Of course, be prepared to have very brief conversations, because there will be multiple views there. But you know, maybe the questions that you bring to the fair, you may want to rank those. What's the most important question you want answered first, right? And then go down the line depending on the how that conversation goes, and if you have time to ask more questions. Hopefully that helps. All right, next question is, when it comes to scholarship, does applying to a little lower ranked schools increases my chance of getting a scholarship? So scholarships are usually based on merit, which is indicated on your, previous academic performance, as well as your GMAT GRE scores. In addition to, I guess, your entire profile is included in there. So if scholarship is an important element of your decision process, then it may make sense for a little lower ranked that meets your needs, right? Don't just apply. Again, I'm not a fan of just applying to get an MBA, but you want it to be a meaningful experience, and you want it to give you what you want in the long run, right? So hopefully that helps. I would encourage you to have conversations with the admissions team and learn more about their various scholarship offerings. So don't just look at, okay, I'm going to apply to a lower ranked school because they're not going to give me a scholarship. Look at the schools and see what types of scholarships they have available. And maybe you have opportunities to apply to other schools and be considered for those as well. Perfect. So yes, I see here that we are sharing the exploratory call. Feel free to reach out to us. I'm happy to have a 30-minute free consultation where we can talk about your profile specifically. As I mentioned, I really want to get to know you and see what you are looking to do. So reach out, and that way we can talk on a more personal level than in this platform, which is usually more generic and more general. So how do you drill down to understand more about why do you want to do an MBA? What are your long-term goals, short-term goals? What I should go for 1-year MBA or 2-year MBA? I have like 9 years experience. That's a lot of questions, and they're great ones. Actually, about a month ago, I had another one of these GMAT Club sessions, live videos, so you can check there on how to go about really articulating why do you want to do ways to identify why do you want to do an MBA, and I think that's going to cover a lot of components. What you should do, so as far as do you need a 1-year MBA or 2-year MBA, that is going to be dependent on your goals. So do you need an internship? Are you going back to your current field? Those are elements that are going to be critical to that decision process. If you have 9 years of experience post your undergraduate degree, then that may make a 2-year traditional MBA a little bit more challenging. So I would encourage you to reach out to us, and let's have a conversation specifically about what you are looking to do, as well as what sort of like how are you going to get there? How are you going to get to your professional goals? Perfect. All three factors were a reflection of what happens at the business school about the experience. However, how to choose a school with a particular profession aspiration in mind? Is there a credible blog or source which can be helpful to choose business school with particular placement forte? I think everyone is going to have their own, let me just back up here for a minute. Just like when you go online and look for top ranked program, and they themselves have criteria that they're using to rank those institutions, the same thing is going to happen with blogs. So you'll have to find a blog that meets exactly what you want to do. So if you're looking for a particular profession or aspiration in mind, again, there's no avoiding research. So you can't avoid that, right? So the school's website is going to offer you a lot of this information, including you will see their placement rates, as well as where the students are being placed, what sectors, what types of jobs that they're working immediately post MBA. So that's an element that you can do and really dive deeper into what the school can offer for you. Obviously, the school does spend a lot of time at providing information about what they offer and what opportunities they're going to offer to you, and how you're going to maximize that. You can look at their, as I mentioned earlier, their concentrations and electives. What courses do they have? This is all available on the school's website. So I encourage you to do a little bit more digging on your own, because even if you go with a blog, and going to a blog is not a bad first step, but it should not stop you. You shouldn't stop there. Rather, you should continue further and do more research on the school specifics. All right, next question is, people who have multiple certification like CFA and CPA, do such things help in admissions as they are centralized all over the world, or do admissions committee take it excuse me, as an okay thing to have? I think the CFA and CPA are very competitive programs, and they are valued in and of themselves. So, the minimum amount of time that you can study for CFA, it's 2.5 years, 3 years. And that's assuming that you pass everything first try, which is really difficult. So I don't think any institution takes those lightly, but their value is going to be dependent on what you want to do in the long run. So if you have a CFA or a CPA, and you're changing trajectories entirely, and your new path has nothing to do with the CFA and CPA, well, then they might not carry as much weight. But if you are going in the finance accounting path, then they're going to be an important element, because that is going to distinguish you from other applicants, not only in the admissions process, but also when you're looking to get a job. You won't just have an MBA, you will have an MBA, a CFA, and a CPA. So hopefully that helps. So hi, Susan. Hi, Huber. Do you think being 35 years old is a weakness in an application, despite the fact that you have a marginal role and team of people in charge? At 35, I'm assuming this is the question is for a traditional 2-year MBA. And at 35, it may be a bit difficult. You may want to consider a 1-year MBA, or you may want to consider, depending again on how many years of experience you have, you want to consider other types of programs. I know that the MIT Sloan has the Sloan Fellows MBA, but it really depends on how much experience you bring to the table, because that program is specifically for sort of middle management individuals. So it really depends on your role and your experiences that you've had since undergraduate. Again, reach out and let's talk more about your background. All right, do we have any more questions? Is that the last of it? So if you have any more questions that you are that you want to talk about offline, and you want to have your profile specifically evaluated and talk about ways that we can help you present your case to your target institution, and also help you find your target institution, right? Please reach out. We do offer a 30-minute complimentary consultation, and where we go through all these components of what are you hoping to achieve, how we can help you through the process, and also give you some pointers on areas that you can improve, or whatever the case may be. All right, so another question is, in your opinion, how the outbreak of COVID-19 will affect the functioning of business schools? Recent admits have started to worry with university shutdowns and schools suspending in-person classes. I would also want to know how much impact it will have on placement, at least in the short term. I'm assuming you are an applicant, or I'm going to assume that you are an applicant applying to an MBA program. So COVID-19, of course, is affecting currently business schools around the world. And there's no doubt about it. But I know I believe it was last week when I got an email from Yale saying that the classes are now being hosted online. And that's one component that today's technology allows for institutions to take advantage of, the e-learning component. That's not to say that you are applying to an MBA program and that you're going to have your entire degree online, which obviously that's not what you're paying for, and it's not what you are wanting to do. But I'm hopeful that in the short term, we'll have COVID-19 under control. The governments are going to do what is required to bring this to an end, and we'll go back to our normal way of being. But there's no doubt that things will be affected, and how they're going to be affected is left to be, it's too early to tell, really. So that's all I have to say about COVID-19. Okay. All right, so that's it. Again, if you would like to have a conversation, sort of a one-on-one conversation, I encourage you to reach out. We are offering 30-minute complimentary calls where we get to know you more and hear about your aspirations and your dreams and see how we can help you along. See how we can help you along the process. So perfect. I see that one more question came in. What are some of interesting factors that one can consider international students to do? Someone can consider to do an MBA from US, considering applicants coming from STEM background and having a little background in business skills. Interesting factors to consider from an MBA program. I'm not quite sure what the question is. So if you don't have, so let me just back up. If you are coming from a STEM background and don't really have much business skills, I wouldn't actually worry about that. What the business schools are really looking for is leaders who are impacting their community. And by community, I don't mean just the community where you live, but also the community in your job, in your field. So whether you come with a business degree or have an engineering degree and are leading your team, it has really nothing to do with business per se. What the business school is going to do with an MBA program is going to teach you about business, teach you the fundamentals of business. But what they want to know and what they want to see is someone who is going to take that business knowledge and take it into the world and make a difference, wherever that chosen path is for you specifically. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about not having business skills or business background, so long as you have the leadership component that the schools are really looking for, because they will teach you the business fundamentals. Perfect. Yes, we do offer Skype calls, Zoom calls, as well as traditional phone calls, as well as WhatsApp calls. So all sorts of tools available to communicate with people all over the world. So hopefully this was helpful to you. We're going to end the session here. Please reach out again. You have the link below. And I really look forward to getting to know you more. Thank you for watching and hope you're all doing well.